Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And we're bringing you another great elementary lesson today, one that takes place at the office.
Yes, today we're going to teach you some great phrases so that you can ask people to help you.
Right, and I think this dialogue is with a new person at the office.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're new, you always need to ask people for favors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to be asking for a favor.
So Marco, what exactly is a favor?
Something that a person does for you.
Like a small, helpful thing.
Yeah, a small helpful thing. So, like, can you pass me that pencil? Maybe that's even a favor.
Yeah, or maybe, can you pick me up on your way to work?
Yeah, that's a favor. Or even lending money
Yep.
to your friend.
Yeah.
That's a favor.
Yeah,
So that's what we're going to be talking about, favors and how to ask for one.
because you always have to do this at work.
At work, with your friends, with your family. So let's listen to the dialogue and then we'll come back and explain all the vocabulary.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Rachel. I'm new here. Can I ask you for a favor?
Hi, Rachel. Welcome on board. I'm afraid I can't help you right now. I'm getting ready for a very important meeting.
Excuse me, but can I bother you for a second?
You know what? I'd love to help you, but I'm about to meet an important client. Do you want to ask Sean instead? He sits right over there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Could you do me a quick favor?
Actually, I'm working on a document that's due in a couple of minutes. I really can't talk right now. Sorry about that.
Jeez! I just want to know where the bathroom is. What's wrong with you people?
So a pretty busy office.
Pretty unhelpful colleagues.
I know, everyone's so busy they didn't help this
know.
poor girl.
Yeah, I hope she found the bathroom.
Now let's take a look at the language from the dialogue. So let's start with language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
There's some great language in this dialogue, wasn't there?
Yeah, a lot of interesting phrases and words. The first one that I saw that was really interesting is on board.
On board.
Welcome on board.
Well, we've got some examples of how this phrase is used, so let's listen to them to help us understand the meaning.
Example 1. Welcome on board, Sarah. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Example 2.
We need to get our new office assistant on board as soon as possible.
Example 3. We decided to bring Melissa on board to join the marketing team.
So basically it means
Welcome to the company.
welcome to the company.
Or,
The team.
yeah.
Welcome on board.
So on board is the same as to the company.
I guess also when you get on a ship, they'll tell you welcome on board.
Yes, that's where it comes from.
Or an airplane.
Yeah.
Welcome on board. Okay, let's take a look at our next word. About to.
About to.
I'm about to.
I'm about to.
So this is a great phrase to explain that you're about to do something.
I'm going to do this thing really soon.
Okay, so for example, you can say, I'm about to go out for lunch.
Or I could say, hey, Marco, let's go record a show.
I'm about to go into a meeting.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
About to.
Going to do something really soon.
Okay. The next word we have is instead.
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 Instead. It means in the place of.
In the place of.
Yep.
So, for example, if we're at dinner, I could say, I'll have the chicken instead of the fish. Right?
Or I can say, I wanted to buy a red sweater, but they didn't have one, so I bought a blue one instead.
Instead. Okay. So, in the place of.
Yep.
And our last word for language takeaway, interrupt.
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 So, when somebody interrupts you, they come in and
They talk to you while you're doing something, or maybe while you're speaking.
Or maybe you're busy and people come and
Bother you.
And bother you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So interrupt.
Interrupt. Okay, some great words here in our dialogue, and now we can listen to it again. This time it's going to be a little bit slower.
And you'll be able to understand the language a little bit better.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Rachel. I'm new here. Can I ask you for a favor?
Hi, Rachel. Welcome on board. I'm afraid I can't help you right now. I'm getting ready for a very important meeting.
Excuse me, but can I bother you for a second?
You know what? I'd love to help you, but I'm about to meet an important client. Do you want to try Sean instead? He sits right over there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Could you do me a quick favor?
Actually, I'm working on a document that is due in a couple of minutes. I really can't talk to you right now. Sorry about that.
Jeez. I just want to know where the bathroom is. What's wrong with you people?
Okay, so there are some great ways that you can ask someone for a favor, right?
Yeah, we want to show you some really useful phrases for asking for help.
So let's start with putting it together.
Putting it together.
Let's listen to some different ways of how you can ask someone for a favor.
Example 1. May I get you to do me a favor? Can you carry this package in your suitcase for me? Example 2.
Can I ask you a favor? Can you just finish this report for me?
Example 3. Will you do me a favor and pass me that file?
Okay, so those were great examples of asking for a favor.
Yep.
In our dialogue, we heard, "Can I ask you a favor?"
But we could also say, can I get you to do me a favor?
Right. Can I get you to do me a favor? Also, I could say, "Will you do me a favor?"
Will you do me a favor?
Right. So those are different ways of asking for a favor.
Let's say you want to ask someone for a favor, right? Mm-hmm. But they're busy.
Right.
So you'll need some phrases to help you do this.
Exactly. You need some phrases to interrupt somebody. Right? So let's listen to some examples of what phrases you can use to begin to talk to someone.
Yeah, to interrupt them.
Okay.
I hate to bother you, but... I'm
sorry to bother you, but...
I don't mean to bother you, but...
Okay, so those are really nice and polite ways of beginning to talk to someone.
Exactly. They're really useful at the office.
So maybe you want to talk to your boss, you knock on his door, kind of open it a little bit and say, "I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you have time for a meeting today?"
Or you could say, "I hate to bother you, but do you have time for a meeting today?"
Exactly. So those are great ways of starting up a conversation.
Yep.
And maybe setting it up to ask for a favor, right? So we can combine them. I could say, "I hate to bother you, but can you do me a favor?"
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, really useful.
So then you can ask someone for a favor.
Yep.
Okay, great stuff. So I guess we can listen to our dialogue again.
Yeah, let's listen to our dialogue for the third time. And this time, I'm sure you'll understand it a lot better.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Rachel. I'm new here. Can I ask you for a favor?
Hi, Rachel. Welcome on board. I'm afraid I can't help you right now. I'm getting ready for a very important meeting.
Excuse me, but can I bother you for a second?
You know what? I'd love to help you, but I'm about to meet an important client. Do you want to ask Sean instead? He sits right over there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Could you do me a quick favor?
Actually, I'm working on a document that's due in a couple of minutes. I really can't talk right now. Sorry about that.
Jeez. I just want to know where the bathroom is. What's wrong with you people?
All right, so now you have all the vocabulary necessary the next time you need to ask someone for a favor.
Yes.
At the office, with your friends, with your family, anyone.
Hello, and welcome to the English Smart Podcast. I'm really glad you're here today because we're going to talk about something super important for everyday English: how to ask for help politely, especially in a work setting. This is something that happens all the time, right? You're at your job, you need some information, maybe you're not sure where something is, or maybe you just need a quick hand. But how do you ask without sounding too direct, too informal, or even too demanding? That's what we'll work on together in this episode. Now, let's think about this. What do you usually say when you want someone to do something for you? Maybe you say, "Can you help me?" Or "Can I ask you something?" That's a great start. But there are other ways to do it that sound even more natural and polite. One of the most useful phrases is, "Can I ask you a favor?" That's simple, kind, and respectful. It shows that you're not just giving them a job. You're making a polite request. Let me break it down. The word favor means a small, helpful action someone does for you, usually because they're being nice, not because they have to. Like if you say, "Can you do me a favor and close the window?" That's not a big job, but it's still a request. And here's a great tip. Always add a smile and a kind tone when asking. Tone is everything in English. Another powerful expression is, "Would you mind helping me?" This sounds even softer and more polite. You could say, "Would you mind helping me carry these folders?" Or, "Would you mind showing me how to use the printer?" See how smooth that sounds? It invites the other person to say yes without pressure. Also, don't forget about one of my favorite phrases, "I was wondering if." This is a gentle way to start a question. For example, "I was wondering if you could help me with this report." It's indirect, polite, and very natural in English. So here's something really important. In English-speaking office culture, being polite isn't just nice, it's expected. Even when people are busy, if you ask in the right way, they will usually try to help you. But you must be respectful of their time. So if you notice someone is working or speaking to someone else, don't just jump in. Instead, use phrases like "sorry to interrupt" or "excuse me, do you have a minute?" These are polite ways to begin. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you're new at a company and you don't know where the break room is. You see someone typing quickly at their desk. What do you say? You could walk up and say, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm new here. Could you tell me where the break room is?" This sentence is polite, clear, and kind. It includes an apology for the interruption, explains why you're asking, and ends with a simple question. That's a winning combination. So today's big takeaway is this. If you want to ask someone for help at work, or really anywhere, use kind, gentle language. Use phrases like, "Can I ask you a favor?" "Would you mind?" Or "I was wondering if." Add a polite start like "sorry to bother you," and always say "thank you" after they help you. That's how you build great communication and friendly relationships in English-speaking environments. When you need something at work and the people around you seem busy, it's easy to feel nervous about speaking up. But don't let that stop you. There are many polite and natural ways to ask for help, even when someone is clearly focused on something else. The key is knowing how to interrupt without sounding rude. Let's start with some softening phrases. These are phrases that help you begin a conversation without surprising or annoying the other person. For example, you can say, "I don't mean to bother you," or "I hate to interrupt, but." These little phrases show that you respect the other person's time. Even if they can't help you, they'll appreciate your politeness. Here's how that might sound. "I don't mean to bother you, but could you tell me where the meeting room is?" Or, "I hate to interrupt, but do you know how to log into the company portal?" These are very useful, especially in a busy workplace. The more polite and respectful you sound, the more willing people will be to assist you. Now, sometimes the answer is no. People might be too busy or in a rush, and that's okay. In English, it's very common to hear something like, "I'm afraid I can't right now," or "I'd love to help, but I'm just heading into a meeting." Don't take it personally. These are soft ways to say no, and they still keep the conversation friendly. You can learn from these responses too. If someone asks you for help and you're not available, you can respond politely. Try saying, I'd really like to help, but I'm about to join a call. Or, sorry, I'm in the middle of something, but maybe later. These phrases help you sound kind and professional, even when you can't say yes. Let's talk about another useful phrase, instead. This word is helpful when you want to suggest another option. For instance, if you can't help someone, you might say, I'm sorry, I can't help you right now. Maybe try asking Tom instead. Or if you were planning to do one thing but change your mind, you can say, I was going to print this file, but I emailed it instead. It's a small word, but very useful in conversation. And here's one more great expression to know, about to. This phrase means you're just going to do something very soon. For example, I'm about to go out for lunch, or I'm about to finish this report. It's a nice way to explain why you can't help at the moment. You can also use it when asking someone if they're available. Are you about to head out? It shows you're thinking about their time before making your request. So, today we focused on polite interruptions, soft ways to say no, and offering other options. These are key parts of real-life English. When you use language that shows respect and understanding, people listen. And even when they can't help, they'll still appreciate your good manners. That's the power of speaking smart, polite English. Let's take things a little deeper now and talk about the structure of polite requests in English. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. The words, the tone, the order, they all matter. When you build a polite request, you're not just asking for help. You're also building trust, showing respect, and creating smoother communication. A very useful structure starts with a soft opening, then adds the actual request, and ends with a kind phrase. For example, excuse me, could you help me with this form, please? See how gentle and respectful that sounds? You start by getting their attention in a nice way. You ask clearly, and you finish politely. This kind of sentence is common and very effective in offices, schools, and everyday life. Now, let's look at how modal verbs help make your requests sound polite. Words like could, would, may, and can are all great tools. Compare these two sentences. Help me with this. Could you help me with this? The first one is too direct. It can sound rude. But the second one is soft, respectful, and natural. Even small changes in language make a big difference in how you're understood. Here are some common polite request phrases you can use in different situations. Could you do me a favor? Would you mind helping me? Can I ask for a little help? May I ask you something? These are all great ways to begin. And remember, adding please always helps. Please is small, but powerful. For example, could you take a look at this, please? That's much better than giving a command. Let's talk about one more helpful detail, your tone of voice. In English, tone changes everything. Even if you use polite words, if your voice sounds flat, rushed, or annoyed, people might misunderstand your meaning. But if you speak with a friendly tone, people feel comfortable. So take your time, speak clearly, and smile if you can. A friendly voice and a few polite words go a long way. Also, be aware of body language. Even though we're focusing on spoken English, your body sends messages too. In a professional setting, try to stand or sit with good posture, face the person, and avoid interrupting them while they're in the middle of something important. These small actions show that you are thoughtful and polite, not just in words, but in how you carry yourself. So to sum it up, when you ask for something in English, think about 3 things: your words, your tone, and your timing. Use soft modal verbs like could and would. Always include please, and pay attention to how the other person seems. Are they busy, stressed, or relaxed? This awareness helps you build better relationships and succeed in English-speaking environments. Now let's explore a common situation where asking for a favor can feel especially tricky when you're the new person at work. Being new can be stressful. You don't know where things are, how everything works, or even who to ask for help. But using the right English expressions can help you feel more confident and connected from day one. One of the best ways to start a conversation when you're new is with a short introduction followed by a polite request. For example, "Hi, I'm new here. I was wondering if you could help me find the break room." This sentence does a lot. You introduce yourself, you explain your situation, and you make your request kindly. It's a great way to show you're friendly and respectful. You might also hear others say something like, "Welcome on board." This is a warm and professional way to welcome someone to the company or team. It originally comes from ships and airplanes, where people say welcome on board when you join the crew or flight. But now it's used in offices too. So if someone says it to you, smile and say, "Thank you. I'm happy to be here." That's a polite and positive response. Another important skill is knowing how to respond when people can't help you right away. Imagine someone says, "I'm about to step into a meeting." This means they're just getting ready to join the meeting very soon. You can reply with something like, "No problem. Maybe I can check with someone else." That kind of reply shows you're understanding and respectful of their time. It also helps you move forward without frustration. Now, let's say someone suggests another person you can talk to. They might say, "You can try asking Dan instead." That word "instead" is very helpful. It means in place of, you're choosing another option. So don't feel bad if someone can't help you. Instead, be open to suggestions. You can even ask directly, "Is there someone else I could ask instead?" That's a very natural and smart question in English. When you're new, asking for help isn't just about getting answers. It's also about starting relationships. If you ask politely and listen carefully, people will remember you as someone who's thoughtful and easy to work with. That's powerful. A few good first impressions can make a big difference. So, if you've just joined a company, don't be afraid to ask questions. Use phrases like, "I'm still learning," "I'm new here," or "Could I ask you something quickly?" These expressions are simple but show honesty and humility. And most people will be glad to help someone who speaks that way. Being new is temporary, but learning how to ask for help the right way is a skill you'll use forever. Whether it's your first day or your 100th, polite English helps you grow your confidence and connect with others. Let's now focus on another important part of asking for help in English: how to ask for small favors, quick tasks that don't take much time. These are things like borrowing a pen, asking someone to press a button, or helping carry something short distances. These are simple, everyday situations, but knowing the right phrases makes a big difference. One of the most useful expressions for this is, "Could you do me a quick favor?" You can add the request right after. "Could you do me a quick favor and hold the elevator?" Or, "Could you do me a quick favor and hand me that file?" This phrase is very friendly and makes it clear that you're not asking for anything big, just a quick, easy task. Another casual but polite way is to say, "Would you mind?" followed by the action in ing form. For example, "Would you mind printing this for me?" Or "Would you mind turning down the volume a bit?" These are soft, polite, and widely used in both formal and informal settings. Sometimes we ask for help in situations where we're unsure whether the other person will agree. In that case, it's good to sound a little more careful. Try saying, "If you're not too busy, could you help me with this?" Or, "Only if you have a moment, would you mind looking at this with me?" These types of sentences show that you're thoughtful about the other person's time. There are also very casual, friendly ways to ask for tiny favors, especially with people you know well. For example, "Can you give me a hand?" means "Can you help me?" It's short, natural, and used all the time. Like, "Hey, can you give me a hand moving this chair?" You can also say, "Could I borrow your pen for a second?" Or, "Mind if I use your phone for a quick call?" In these phrases, the words "for a second" or "for a quick" make the request sound small and easy. That helps the listener feel more comfortable saying yes. Let's also talk about intonation. That's the music of your voice. When making polite requests, English speakers often raise their tone slightly at the end of the sentence. This rising tone signals a question and makes you sound friendlier. Compare these two sentences. "Can you close the door?" "Can you close the door?" The second one, with the upward tone, sounds like a real question. It's polite and natural. Always be aware of your tone. Even with the right words, a flat or serious tone can make a request feel like a command. And finally, always say thanks or thank you so much after the favor. If it's a close friend, you can say, "Thanks a ton," or "I really appreciate it." These small habits make a big impact. Gratitude is part of every good interaction in English-speaking culture. So, whether you're asking for a big favor or a small one, these polite structures phrases, and tones will help you sound friendly, respectful, and clear. Keep practicing them in real life. You'll be amazed at how much easier and more natural your English conversations become. Let's turn now to something that often happens when you're asking for help: interrupting someone. In many workplaces or social settings, people are focused, busy, or already talking to someone else. That means knowing how to interrupt politely is a must-have English skill. And the good news is, there are simple and effective ways to do it without sounding rude. One of the most polite and widely used expressions is "sorry to interrupt." It's short, respectful, and lets the person know that you're aware they're doing something. For example, "Sorry to interrupt, but could I ask you something quickly?" This kind of phrase is great in meetings, during work hours, or when someone is speaking to someone else. You can also use "excuse me, do you have a moment?" or "I hate to bother you," but these soft openers work really well because they show you're being careful and respectful of the person's time. A phrase like "I don't mean to interrupt, but" is also common and polite. You might say, "I don't mean to interrupt, but I need help accessing the online system." Now, here's something interesting. How you physically approach someone also matters. In many English-speaking workplaces, it's polite to wait until someone makes eye contact before you speak. If they're typing or on the phone, you might stand nearby for a second, then gently say, "Excuse me." This quiet pause gives them a chance to prepare, and it makes you look thoughtful and professional. Let's say you're on the phone or in a meeting and you're the one being interrupted. There are polite ways to handle this, too. You can say, "Can you give me a second?" or "I'll be with you in just a moment." If you really can't speak, it's okay to say, "I'm in the middle of something right now, but I'll come find you shortly." These phrases keep things polite and clear. Sometimes when people are interrupted, they say, "Now's not a good time," or "Can we talk later?" These are gentle ways to delay the conversation without being unfriendly. And they're phrases you can use too, if you need to protect your time while still being polite. Now, let's look at a few real-life examples. "Sorry to bother you, but could I ask a quick question about the report?" "I don't mean to interrupt, but do you know where the HR office is?" "Excuse me, just wondering if you could help me for a moment." These sentences are all natural, soft, and practical. They sound like what people really say every day in offices, schools, and shops. And best of all, they show respect while getting your message across clearly. One more quick tip. If you're writing to ask for help, like in an email or message, you can use some of the same phrases. Try starting with, "I hope I'm not bothering you, but I have a quick question." Or, "When you have a moment, could you help me with this?" These polite openers are perfect for professional writing too. So remember, interrupting doesn't have to be rude. With the right words and tone, you can step into a conversation or ask for attention in a way that's thoughtful and appreciated. And that's a great skill to have in both spoken and written English. Let's now explore what happens after you've asked for help. How to continue the interaction in a way that keeps things smooth, professional, and friendly. Because asking for help isn't just about the request itself. It's also about your reaction, your gratitude, and the way you handle the whole situation. These moments help build strong communication and trust. First, when someone agrees to help you, your response matters. One of the best things you can say is, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." It's simple, sincere, and makes the other person feel respected. You can also say, "That means a lot," or "I owe you one." In a more casual setting, you might say, "You're a lifesaver." These are all friendly and positive ways to show thanks. Now, if someone gives you an answer that helps, even if it's small, acknowledge it. For example, "Thanks. That clears things up," or "Great, that helps a lot." This kind of reply shows that you're listening and that you value the other person's time. And what if the person can't help you? That's okay too. Your response still matters. A polite reply like, "No worries, I understand," or "Thanks anyway, I appreciate you taking the time," keeps the mood friendly and professional. It also shows emotional maturity, which is something people respect in any culture. There's another situation we should talk about when you want to follow up after a favor. Maybe you ask someone to send you a file or check something for you, and you haven't heard back yet. In that case, it's important to be polite but clear. You can say, just a quick reminder about the document we discussed. When you get a chance, could you send it my way? Or, I know you're busy, but I wanted to follow up on the request I made yesterday. These kinds of phrases are very useful in the workplace. They show patience, but also help you move things forward. Sometimes, when someone helps you more than once, you may want to offer something in return. Even a small sentence like, let me know if I can return the favor sometime, goes a long way. It builds a sense of teamwork and shows that you're not just asking. You're also willing to give. In English-speaking culture, this kind of exchange is often unspoken but understood. I help you now, and if I ever need something, maybe you'll help me too. This friendly give and take is part of what builds strong relationships at work or in everyday life. Let's also touch on another phrase you might hear or want to use. It's no trouble at all. This is what people often say when they want to make you feel better about asking. If someone says this to you, respond kindly. Say something like, thanks, I really didn't want to bother you. That shows you respect their kindness and understand their effort. So, to wrap this up, remember that asking for help is only part of the picture. What happens next, the way you say thank you, how you follow up, and the respect you show, those are all part of smart, natural English communication. These small habits build better conversations and better connections, one polite moment at a time. Let's now take everything we've learned and apply it to real-life situations where asking for help happens often. One of the best ways to improve your English is by imagining yourself in everyday scenes and practicing the exact words and phrases you would use. So in this part, I'll walk you through some practical scenarios and show you how polite English works in action. Imagine this. You're working in an office and you've just been given a task you don't understand. Maybe it's something new or the instructions aren't clear. Instead of feeling stuck, you can politely ask a co-worker for clarification. You might say, sorry to interrupt, but I'm working on this project and I just wanted to double-check the steps. Could you explain how this part works? This kind of request is respectful, clear, and shows that you want to do the job well. Now think about a second situation. You're in a meeting and you miss something the speaker said. You don't want to speak loudly or stop the meeting, but you also need the information. After the meeting ends, you could say, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but I didn't catch what you said about the new schedule. Could you repeat that for me? This polite follow-up makes it easy to stay informed without causing any disruption. Here's another example. You're in a coffee shop and you want to use someone's charger. Maybe your phone is low on battery. You could ask a stranger by saying, hi, I don't mean to bother you, but would you mind if I use your charger for a minute? I'll get it right back. This kind of request uses soft language, shows consideration, and gives the listener a clear idea of what you need. Or imagine you're a student and you missed a class. You want to ask a classmate to share their notes. Instead of just saying, give me your notes, you could say, hey, I missed class yesterday. If it's not too much trouble, would you mind sharing your notes with me? This version is thoughtful and respectful. And again, adding, thanks so much, I really appreciate it, at the end makes it even better. In each of these scenarios, notice how polite requests usually have three important parts: a soft beginning, a clear request, and a kind ending. That's the structure that works in English-speaking environments. It helps people understand you, feel respected, and be more willing to help. Also remember, the more you practice these kinds of sentences, the more natural they'll feel. You don't have to wait for a big situation. Start with small things. Ask a friend, would you mind helping me with this app? Or tell your coworker, if you're not too busy, could you check this email for me? The more you use these phrases, the more confident and fluent you'll become. So take these everyday situations and use them as practice opportunities. The best English learners are the ones who are not afraid to speak, make mistakes, and keep trying. With the right words and a polite tone, you'll find that people are not only happy to help, you'll also start sounding more natural and professional in everything you say. Let's finish by focusing on how learning to ask for help politely in English isn't just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about building real communication skills that make your daily life easier and more successful. Whether you're at work, in school, traveling, or just going about your day, Knowing how to express yourself kindly and clearly opens doors, creates trust, and helps you grow as an English speaker. When you use polite language like "could you help me?" or "would you mind if I asked you something?" you're not only asking for assistance, you're showing respect. And respect is a universal value. People respond better when they feel respected. That's why tone, timing, and word choice are so important in English. Let's not forget the small words that carry big meaning. Words like please, sorry, thank you, and excuse me may seem simple, but they are powerful tools. Use them often and sincerely. These words help you connect with others in a way that feels warm and professional at the same time. Now, here's something advanced learners understand well: the culture behind the language. In English-speaking environments, people don't usually give direct orders unless it's necessary. They use polite forms, even when talking to close friends or coworkers. That's why phrases like, "I was wondering if," or "when you have a moment," are so common. They don't just sound nice, they match the culture of indirect, respectful communication. Another key point is confidence. Being polite doesn't mean sounding unsure or weak. In fact, polite language shows that you know how to handle yourself. You're not just demanding something, you're communicating with purpose, kindness, and care. That kind of communication builds your reputation, whether you're learning English for work, study, or life in an English-speaking country. One last thing, don't be afraid to practice all of this out loud. Say these phrases at home. Try role-playing situations in your mind. Practice saying, "Sorry to bother you, but could you help me with this?" Or "would it be okay if I asked a quick question?" The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. So remember, asking for help is not a weakness, it's a skill. And asking the right way, in clear, polite English, is a strength that will serve you everywhere you go. Thank you for being a part of the English Smart Podcast.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Annoy or disturb someone.
Bother.
Ask someone to do a kind and helpful thing.
Can I ask you a favor?
To the company.
On board.
Polite way of asking if you can interrupt someone.
Can I bother you?
In the place of.
Instead.
Phrase used to begin speaking to someone when they are busy doing or saying something.
Sorry to interrupt.
Do a small, helpful thing that won't take a long time.
Do me a quick favor.
Let's try that faster. To the company.
On board.
Polite way of asking if you can interrupt someone.
Can I bother you?
Ask someone to do a kind and helpful thing.
Can I ask you a favor?
To the company.
On board.
Polite way of asking if you can interrupt someone.
Can I bother you?
In the place of.
Instead.
Do a small, helpful thing that won't take a long time.
Do me a quick favor.
In the place of.
Instead.
Polite way of asking if you can interrupt someone.
Can I bother you?
In the place of.
Instead.
Polite way of asking if you can interrupt someone.
Can I bother you?
To the company.
On board.
Ask someone to do a kind and helpful thing.
Can I ask you a favor?
Phrase used to begin speaking to someone when they are busy doing or saying something.
Sorry to interrupt.
Do a small, helpful thing that won't take a long time.
Do me a quick favor.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Can I ask you a favor? Excuse me, can I ask you a favor? Could you bring this to HR for me? On board. Welcome on board, Sarah. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Instead, I can't help you right now. Why don't you ask Kathy instead? Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt you, Jason, but someone wants to talk to you. Do me a quick favor. Hey, could you do me a quick favor and close the door behind you? On board. Welcome on board, Sarah. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Instead, I can't help you right now. Why don't you ask Kathy instead? Do me a quick favor. Hey, could you do me a quick favor and close the door behind you?